Welcome to Sunset Sound. I'm Michael Ilbert, recording 2 new EZXs for Toontrack. So yeah, we're here and recording a follow-up to the core library. I was here once 15 years ago producing an American band, and we did drums one day, and it was just one of those moments, magical moments, and it was just instant amazing sounding. It felt like there's no rocket science. So I always wanted to come back, and Toontrack made that happen.
Sunset Sound Studios is not only one of the most iconic and legendary studios in the world, it offers very different acoustic spaces we can use for capturing sounds. We decided to record in Studio 2 and Studio 3, which are very different from their sonic qualities they bring to recording.
I had a good friend who works here quite a lot, and I asked him for recommendation on an assistant, and he recommended Nate, who's been tremendous help. Such a knowledge about the studio, the rooms, the gear, reminding me about things. He and I was trading techniques on overhead miking and certain things.
The studio was founded by Tutti Camerata, who was Walt Disney's musical director in the 50s and 60s. And then in the middle 60s, it became a destination for lots of unsigned bands, like The Doors were one of our first great clients. After sort of lots of great records started coming out of here, it became just a destination for lots of rock bands. Janis Joplin, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Buffalo Springfield, and then just rolled on through the 70s and 80s, creating this great history that we have now today.
The sounds that we're recording here can be seen as kind of like a natural extension to the core library of EZdrummer 3. Really different drums this time, more vintage, and that was the idea from the get-go, that we could record sounds that complement sonic goal of the core library of EZdrummer 3.
Some of those kits we had recorded in Hans and the core library basically came from the box from the factory, and we packed them up and we tuned them. And here is the opposite. Here's someone who collected drums for 40, 50 years. I don't know how long is it collected drums, you know. I felt that I want to dig deeper in some classic drums, but not specifically making them sound like an old record or something, still recording them in a modern way, and not being afraid of adding modern frequencies or treatments to them, but having Ross tune them to where we felt always that each kit or each instrument had its natural sound or performance. We didn't push anything to like a place that we didn't feel comfortable. Then we just changed the drum, which was like the most amazing for any recording engineer to have that possibility. Choosing all the kits was a dialogue with me and the Toontrack people, Damien and Norman especially, but also with Ross from Drum Doctors here in Los Angeles.
From the beginning, we had the idea if we would go here to record drums at Sunset Sound, we need to work together with the Drum Doctors for renting drums, and not only for renting drums, but also for tuning and preparing the kits that we're going to record here.
I recently worked quite a lot with him on some Coldplay recordings, and we chatted a lot about different drums and what they do, and materials and heads and all these things. And from that, I've digged in a little bit in his collection. Each kit here is unique because of Ross and Drum Doctors. I think when you pull up all the faders in the program, or like on the console, put them at 0, you will hear an instrument. You can visualize where that is recorded.
So Studio 2 is a bigger space. It's got very high ceilings. Although it's a very big room, the sound of the drums are very warm and very thick and very powerful in that room, which is perfect for what we had in mind.
I would say on the larger side of space, there is walls you can manipulate, but we went for more of a live sound, open sound.
The Neve 80 series console paired with that live room just creates this big, powerful sound. So it's just really great for capturing big rock style drums, big drums that really need to feel like they're in like a massive space with lots of power and impact.
But then we had the ability as well to move into here, Studio 3, which is a completely different space and ambience to record in.
This studio was built in 1976 around this custom API console built by Frank DiMedio. This is truly a one-of-a-kind console. Paired with the kits that Ross and Michael chose for this room, it really was the other part of the picture that wasn't captured in Studio 2.
For my taste, I did a little bit of a goboing around the kit. I feel when you have the right gobos, and some studios have that, it contains the sound. So the mics inside this area, that amplifies those mics and the kit. Maybe I get a little more low end or tighter low end, both for kick, snare, toms.
So the sounds we're getting here in Studio 3 are much more focused in a way and more defined. We have smaller kits that we're sampling here. We're also limiting a little bit the velocities we're sampling here, because the drums start to speak in a lower velocity in here, which we're very careful to capture and to sample.
And also in Studio 3, apart from the live room, we also go to a booth they have, which is interesting compared to the one I recorded prior, which is a very small vocal booth, but also worked as a perfect drum booth. This is double size of that, but still extremely, tight and focused. So yeah, they are very diverse, and that's going to be really fun for the libraries.
Having had the chance to work with Michael again after we did the EZdrummer 3 core library was really a great thing, especially for me as a drummer. We kind of like grew together as a really efficient team.
Yeah, it's just been a really great process to collab and suggest some things, and to also learn more about how this room sounds with really dissecting it and spending a lot of time focused on drum sounds. We're using mostly the same mics, techniques, and chains through all of it while we're swapping the drums. So I feel like that's the biggest way to really reveal the differences in the drum sounds, is keeping almost everything else the same. And again, it just shows that the palette of mics and gear and processing doesn't matter as much as like great sounding drums, and all we're trying to do is capture the great sounding drums.
I love it. I just hope these sounds can inspire people to write music. That's why I do it. Of course, it's fun. It's like it's fun. It's challenging, but I mean, the main goal is to give people a sense what real drums can do. I recorded it so people can manipulate them. I recorded it also they can just leave it alone and just get going with the song. You say it every time. Yeah. This is the best or whatever, but this feels here. Yeah.